Ladies and gents, it's Tuesday and it's time for an alternative paper review.
Prince Andrew's and Nonsberger.
First up to The Guardian, who call for rent caps to tackle the housing crisis. Now, this is a common mistake, right, in progressive quarters, is to do what you do, right, which is open up your letters, open up your mail, and see that your rent is being doubled, right? And then to assume that the only reason that your rent is doubling is because your landlord is greedy and like, oh, it'd be good to have an extra 500 quid every month. You know, you open up that post, the rent is doubling, you do your best to fight off like 2 simultaneous heart attacks and a stroke. But in reality, the reason that most of them are hiking the rents is because their loan, which they used to buy the property, has also gone up. And why has that gone up? Well, it's the same reason that everyone's mortgages have shot up like Lou Reed in a Berlin squat. It's because the Bank of England have hiked the base rate, the interest rate from which all your high street banks base their own loans on. And this is why people like me were saying when the SNP were talking about rent controls, like, fine for social housing where there's no loan underpinning that rent. But if landlords en masse across all of the UK are suddenly hit with an extra £1,000 a month outgoings, £2,000 a month in outgoings, like if they're restricted from being able to pass that on, right, which sounds like I'm defending landlords in that regard. I'm not. I'm just trying to paint you a picture here. If they're prevented from passing the cost on to their, quote, customers, what you're going to see in that scenario is a carpet bombing of the rental and investment property market. Like they would suddenly look to liquidate all of their assets, their 1-bed, 2-bed flats, all of them would go up for sale at the same time. Which you might think, okay, good. Yeah, more houses on the market. That'll bring down the cost of houses. Down with landlords. Oh, we hate them, don't we? But the more intellectually curious among you might be wondering why those loans had to go up anyway. You know, why did the Bank of England hike rates to, quote, battle inflation? Do you remember all that? When actually inflation just organically came down when the energy markets stabilized. And so the question that I have in my mind, the question that nobody's been able to answer to me as yet, right, is if you want to put a cap somewhere in the market to protect renters and homeowners, right? If you want to put a cap there to shield them from the impact, the effect of hiked up rates, why wouldn't you have a mortgage price cap? Do you know what I mean? Like, protect the homeowners. You're also kind of protecting landlords from then having to liquidate all of their stock. You're protecting renters. Why not just make the billion-dollar banks take most of the hit from the hiked up interest rates? But no, you'll be delighted to hear that that was never even suggested at Parliament, and instead the banks went on to increase their profits by about 100 to 200%. Oh, don't you just love it? What's next? Oh, well, you're going to love this, Aid. You're going to love this. For a change, it's time for some good news. Is it? Really? Yeah, because, right, get this, right? When you all open your letter from Foxtons and you see that your rent has doubled again, right? I mean, it's not a great start, but carry on. Right, well, when you open that rent notice, right, now it turns out that rather than having a heart attack, you might be able to have taken a preventative obesity treatment that's reported to have reduced heart attacks by around 20%. Oh, right. Yes, this is a story that's obviously very popular in the succession of newspapers most beloved by people most likely to suffer heart attacks and strokes. You know, it's the Daily Express, it's the Daily Mail, it's the Telegraph, it's a veritable heart gallery, if you will. Game-changing drug saves lives. Weight loss jab reduces deaths by 1/5. So yeah, I mean, obviously this is a story that's going to be popular with oldies, with pensioners, Express readers. But realistically, it's also going to be quite popular with the Sun's Harry Cole.
Somebody friend me a pleb pie.
So anyway, yes, that's obviously good news. Good news all round, because now when you open that Foxton's or Savills letter, when you see that your rent is going to go up by another £500 a month and you can't afford it, you're working 2 jobs already, but you can't afford to move either, because that costs like an average of £3,000 to £4,000 in liquid cash now, where normally you would have had a heart attack at reading that information. Now you can just stay alive and endure it and just get back on that hamster wheel and keep f***ing taking it. There really is no escape. And I know I said that was going to be good news, right? Which it sort of is, right? Heart attacks are down, but it does also mean that your suffering will continue. Like, I know that that sounds bad, doesn't it? It sounds bad, but that's only because you are still living in the past. You're living in a time of possibility and hope. Things have changed. Things have got so much worse now. And so comparatively, it's not actually that bad. Comparatively, it's like the Overton window. Things have moved so far into terrible that actually surviving a heart attack so you can continue to inhabit an endless existence of suffering and woe is actually a good news story. I mean, this is 2024, guys. We are fully into the realms of dystopia now. There's no place for fantasy and teddy bears and rainbow. Like, didn't you hear Esther McVeigh yesterday? We're banning the rainbows.
Lanyards, bloody lanyards.
Next to the Mirror, who report that Man United's wives and girlfriends may not be included in the $1 billion club's transport budget going forward. You see? Tough times ahead for all of us. And this is on top of the private school fees, is it? Christ. Somebody should do a Live Aid for them. Finally, to the Metro. King, I've lost my sense of taste. Is that right? The King has lost all sense of taste. Well, that certainly explains that tie, King. Oh, no way! You gotta go easy on him. You just go. He's got cancer. For God's sake, Aid. Guys, that's it for this one. Do check out the podcast if you haven't already. It's called Aid Thompson and Other Disappointments. There's 2 episodes out now on YouTube. Last week's Tuesday, Wednesday, midweek one, and then the Friday night show. I'm going to be doing a live meetup in London sometime in the next month or 2 months, once I pull my finger out and decide on a date. So if you're enjoying all of the stuff that I put out and you want to get a bit more involved, jump on the Patreon or the YouTube community below. Until next time, I'm out, this Mother Hubbard.